Welcome to episode 8 of Celtic Sagas and Law. I am your host, Martin Vaughan Watkin. On this episode, I'd like to do a Celtic, inverted commas, Bigfoot legend. Now, just about every culture around the world has some sort of tall, hairy Bigfoot or Sasquatch type character, the Yeti, the Yodi, and so forth. But they are severely lacking in Celtic lore. Now, there's only one that I know of, and it's quite unique among Celtic stories, as it has no similar or stories or the same story in different locations. And there's only one, inverted commas, Bigfoot legend. The story is based in Gwynedd in northwest Wales. And the story goes that there was a village called Gwynedd, and the people of Gwynedd noticed that their sheep would disappear, and when their cows became to be milked, they were dry as a bone. And they put this down to the fairies to start with. But then one day a young shepherd was coming back from herding the sheep, and he saw a tall, hairy, red-haired monster watching the village. Being scared, he slowly ducked down and creeped round the beast and returned to the village and told the people of the village. So a posse was gathered and they went out hunting for the Bigfoot-like creature, and they came to no success. But the attacks on livestock continued, so the villagers thought it was some sort of spirit-type beast. So they went to see the local Dinas Emrys, a wise man, and asked him what the score was. And he explained to them it was not a spirit beast, but a physical beast from another realm, and that they should find a greyhound that was red all over and not a patch of any other colour on the dog's coat, and that dog would be able to attack and hunt the beast. So they searched for a long time, and in the end they found a pup that was in Nantu, a small town not far from the village. So they purchased the pup and they raised it to be a fighting dog. And then when the dog was old enough, they went out and they searched and they found the beast. And they hunted the beast, and it was fast of flight. And they chased it all day. Then at sunset they managed to corner it at the mountain top, but the beast leapt off a cliff into sunset and was not seen. So they were concerned that this was a far more powerful beast than they considered. During this time that they were hunting the beast, there was a young wife that went into labour and gave birth to a baby. And the family that the young wife had a small farm on top of a mountain, about an hour's walk down into the valley of Gwynedd. So the baby was very healthy and grew, and they had to have it christened. So the father of the baby was quite large. The mother was still bedridden. So the whole family decided to take the child down to the chapel to christen it, and the mother was left in the house on her own. So the baby was christened, and they were going to come back, but a snowstorm came and they were trapped off. So they stayed with the family members in the village and hoped to go back the next morning. Now during the night, the young mother heard commotion outside, and she looked at the window and saw the large red-headed Yeti stroke Bigfoot creature prowling around. She became concerned, so she went to the fireplace and picked up an axe. And as she did, there was a bang in the back door, and the door started to open. She ran to the door and put her weight against it, but the creature was pushing, and it put its arm in, trying to grab the lock from the side. So she took the axe and chopped the creature's hand off. There was a mighty yell, and the creature ran off into the night. The following morning, the family returned, and the young wife, the young mother, told the people of the incident. So the cry went out for the hue and cry. The shout went out for the hue and cry, and again the villagers gathered with the red greyhound, and they followed the trail of blood and footprints in the snow. And they followed him for a few hours, expecting to find the creature lying dead due to loss of blood. But they found a cave in the mountain, and the trail led in. So no man was brave enough to go in. So they decided to send the dog in, but the dog wouldn't go in on its own. So the men were left with a dilemma. So they climbed higher up, and they diverted a stream to cover the entrance to the cave and drown the creature. And the river course of the stream was changed, and the creature was never heard or was seen again. And that's where the story ends. Now, apparently the cave and the water's still there, but I can't seem to find any pictures of it anywhere. If anybody's local to that area and got any pictures, I'd be most grateful. Now, that story again is very unique. There are a few cases of instances of large beasts coming to houses and all the rest of it, but nothing of a Bigfoot-esque type nature. Now, this story, again, like I said, is unique, but it's probably been what I call Christian edited. Now, if you take the context of the story, there are many factors taken into account: the red hair, the sunset. Now, why would a creature that was feeding on cows and sheep suddenly come to a woman that had just had a baby, and why the arm was cut off in the direction of the cave to the underworld? Now, if you've read the Mabinogion, you'll see that above the narrative there are many sort of strange incidences that defy logic in the narrative. Now, the reason for this is the Mabinogion was originally pagan text and obviously was written down by monks, and they change it the best they can. The best example, for argument's sake, is the story of Pwch and Rhiannon, where she is downgraded from a goddess, the Earth Mother goddess, to just a maiden, a human plus, as I call them. So there's probably something similar along the lines with the story of this Bigfoot-type creature, and he might have been the father of the child or something, but obviously the Christians couldn't sort of work that into a Christian narrative as something 8-9 foot tall and hairy is not exactly your classic demon type thing, so they'd have to explain that. So if you take it as a Mabinogion style text, it's obviously been heavily edited, and there are many stories throughout Welsh law. If you take that sort of editing process, the stories make a lot more sense. But it's the Christian editors didn't just change the stories like that. There's one classic story, for example, where the pagans are actually forthright, but obviously they just put in as in our god's better than your god type thing. There are two classic stories. One of them is of Gwyn ap Nudd. Now, Gwyn ap Nudd is the king of the fairies and is a sort of underworld type god along the lines of the Greek ones. The story with St. Column is that he was sitting in his house one night and there was a knock at the door, and he said, "Who's there?" And he was a relatable character according to the story, and he said, "Oh, we are envoys of Gwyn ap Nudd, and he wishes an audience with you." And he said, no, I'm not interested. So he sent them away. And this following night, the second envoy came, and the same happened again. On the third night, there was a knock at the door, and St. Column shouted, "Who's there?" And he said, "It's Gwyn ap Nudd." So St. Column went out, and with that, Gwyn ap Nudd clapped his hands, and they appeared in the court of Gwyn ap Nudd, and there was gold, and you can imagine it was very spectacular and richly decorated and what have you. And he said to St. Column, "Oh, okay," he said, "eat your fill, have a woman, all the rest of it." And St. Column did the Christian bit about saying, "No, I shall not," and he prayed to the Christian god, and then the place appeared as it was, and dank and dark and all the rest of it, which is classic fairy stories where a hero or a person is taken into a fairy court or castle, and they see it as it is, distortion of time and all the rest of it. So there's that classic example, and there's another one where St. David and his men are at a beach, and an Irish king's wife tries to tempt them with her priestesses being naked, so St. David calls up a storm to separate them, and that's another story again. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you've liked the page or subscribed, thank you very much. I'd be very grateful if you could also share the stories that share the links, that'd be great as well. Thanks. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you in episode 9. Again, if you wish to message me, it's www.martinthedruid.webs.com. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you in episode 9.